Satnam Aloha. So we've got a big new moon coming up on August 8th. And you may have heard, it's called the Lion's Portal. So as a humanity, we live in a sea of energy. It's called the unified field. And we can't see it because we're trapped in a perceptual illusion, which means we only experience life through our five senses and our mind. And this is all changing for the Aquarian age. Not for everyone, but for the ones who are aligned with this new earth frequency that's rooted in love. So the Lion's Portal is the 8th month and the 8th day. So it's in the new moon, so it's very auspicious. So this means that the planet's going to be infused with divine energy or the frequency of love. It's kind of like a divine intervention. So this will raise the vibration of the unified field, and it will help pull us out of this shadow frequency that's been getting more and more dense, especially since 2020. Remember, it's always darkest before the dawn. And again, it's not for everyone. It's for the ones that are choosing love, right? Are choosing to be the midwife of this new earth. So many won't even notice a change in frequency. What's the big deal? I didn't feel anything, right? Because they're not attuned to this energy. And on a soul level, some are not choosing to go forward. That's just the way it is, right? So this isn't about an us and them. It's just about it. It's what is, right? Some are going forward, some are not. So this weekend, be sure to spend some time in solitude, prayer, or meditation so that you can receive this energy, right? And guidance. So that's a key word for this new moon, because the new moon is in the gift of guidance. It's in the 7th gate, right? This is the shadow of division. It's the gift of guidance and virtue. There's lots to say, but I want to focus on one thing, and this is all about leadership. So it comes from the channel of facilitation. You can see the 7 and the 31 make up this channel. So we've got the shadows of division and arrogance. What a deadly duo for a leader. And you know what? We haven't really seen true leadership on this planet, mainly because we've been steeped in shadow frequency or victim consciousness, right? The last 2,000 years, especially in the Piscean age, right? The shadow of Pisces is victim. So let's look at the shadow of leadership, because this is how we can learn, right? It's what we don't want. And this is what we've seen out in the world for a long time, maybe your whole lifetime. This is what I've seen, the shadow of leadership. So the shadow leader, motivated by power and money, right, manipulates through language. And this is especially true for the 31 gate. So it can be masters at tossing a word salad. You know those people? And I talked about this hypnotic effect in my spiritual parasites video. So if you want to learn more about this manipulation of language in the Piscean hypnotic trance that we're in, make sure that you go back and have a listen, but listen to this one first. Making promises and not keeping them, the shadow leader, like no commitment to their word means nothing. We see this with politicians all the time, making their big promises to get elected, and then they get in there and they do the same old, right, to keep the status quo going. Ego serving. It's all about me, and leads through division and force. So this is pitting one group against another group and imposes their will onto you, right? Comes out with announcement to the press. Well, we've gotten together and we've decided that this is going to happen, and you just have to go along. You've got no choice. This is leading through force. Operates in hierarchy, right? So this is thinking in hierarchy, right? I'm better than you. We have the right to rule you, the masses, because we're better, we're superior than you. disempowers people. It's not about empowering people. It's about disempowering people and keeping them small, right? To keep that hierarchy going. No, absolutely no accountability, right? Blaming. When something goes wrong, they're pointing the finger to someone else, right? Another group, right? Another political group. And this person's to blame. This is why it's happened. It's their fault. They won't admit when they made a mistake. Sounds a bit like a narcissist, doesn't it? Jealous, right? Jealous and controlling. So competing with others for power. It doesn't really matter of the people, right? The masses. It's all about them. Me, 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 me. Manipulates through emotions, right? So this is a big one. And we're going to go back to this one later in the video. So stick around to listen to this part. It's really important for our evolution into the Aquarian age. So why do so many people follow these false shadow leaders who are only driven by money and power, who obviously lie, right? Like why? It's kind of like the Pied Piper, you know, the story of the Pied Piper leading children, people into a dark future. And why do so many willingly follow? It's a billion-dollar question, isn't it? Well, it goes back to our genetics, and we're genetically programmed to follow alpha males. It comes from tribal consciousness, right? So we've got tribal consciousness, we've got collective consciousness, and we have individual consciousness. So tribal consciousness is coming down. It's breaking down. I talked about this in the 2027 webinar and the 2021 webinar series. So this cross of planning is breaking down. So our support systems are breaking down, right? Our institutions are breaking down. This is all part of the master plan, the master divine plan. And it's going to become more and more obvious to people, the true motivation of others, because there's no more hiding. Can't hide in the Aquarian age. And all will be revealed, right? So in my chart, in my personal chart, I'm what's called a pure individual. I have no collective circuitry. I have no tribal circuitry, which means that I'm not designed to be programmed by the tribe or the collective. So it's really easy for me to see the agendas and the lies. It always has been, but it's not for everyone. And so remember that like attracts like. So the people that are in victim consciousness, right, who give their power away to someone else, they know better than me, their voice is more important than me, or they went to school for this long, I don't know anything, right? This is the victim. Well, they're going to attract these shadow leaders, right? They can't exist without one another, the shadow leader and the victim, the abuser victim. They need each other. So when someone is a victim, they couldn't recognize a true leader if, you know, the person had a neon light flashing and they were thrown at their feet. You know, they wouldn't recognize them. The true leader is actually invisible to a victim, right? They can't see them because it's all about frequency. And so when the planet and people rise in frequency, only then true leaders will be recognized and empowered to lead. So we're not at that point, clearly, right? When you look out into the world. So this is what we're up against right now, this shadow frequency, right? So it keeps this reality in place. So let's look at the true leader, okay? The true leader, this new leader that's coming in the future. Well, motivated by service, right? Motivated by love, recognizes that they've been chosen energetically by the group to hold this sacred position, right? There's not an entitlement. There's no arrogance in that. So unites the group, brings differing factions together, right? Doesn't divide them, brings them together. And the ultimate division and separation is really war, right? That's not in the psyche of the true leader. It's all about uniting the group. And how does this person do this, the true leader? Well, they listen. There's a novel idea. Listen. Listens to the members of the group, listens to their needs and their challenges, and then makes decisions from that place, right? So operates within the frequency of equality, meaning there's no one higher or lower. We're just all playing roles. That's all we're doing here. And also the you win, we win, right? When you win, when you succeed, it means I win, it means I succeed, it means we win, we succeed as a humanity because we're one human organism. So there's no jealousy, right? There's no scarcity consciousness here, right? This is lack, and it's all been fabricated. Lack consciousness, scarcity consciousness has been fabricated, right? To keep this hierarchy in place. It's an illusion. The true leader balances the needs of the individual with the needs of the group, right? So we have to remember the individual is what mutates the group. The group can't mutate the group. The collective can't mutate the collective. They need the individual, right? So this is diversity and unity. And this strengthens the group. The fabric of the group is strengthened. The true leader takes responsibility, right? You know what? I made a mistake there. And now I know better, I'll do better, right? So responsible, responding to the people that they lead, not reacting in jealousy, right? Responsibility. The true leader empowers others through information, right? Here's the information. You take it, and now you make your own decision. That's empowerment, right? You make your own decision, and I will stand by your decision, whatever it is for you. So these are just a few points, right? So that you get the idea. And is this a utopian idea? Because you may say, oh, Michael, you know, that's so airy-fairy. It's a unicorn and rainbows. You know, this is just the way it is. We've got no power. This is just how leaders are. And you can feel the complacency. Well, that's the victim consciousness. This isn't a utopian idea. This is how we're supposed to be living, right? So don't listen to that victim consciousness, because that means you stay in that shadow frequency and you get nowhere. You're actually devolving. You're not evolving. So as a humanity, we're in a deep lesson, a deep, deep spiritual lesson around our relationship to leadership, right? And in my videos, I talked a lot about the upside down world that we live in, right? Nothing as it seems. Everything's inverted, right? So I'm talking about the masses right now. And this is where the shadow frequency is seen as the gift, and the gift is seen as the lower frequency, right? As the shadow. So the shadow is the gift is the shadow. So let's look at it, for example, so you can root it in your psyche. Division is virtuous, right? With the seventh gate, the shadow of division, gift of virtue. So division is virtuous. This is the decepting message. So an example of this is snitch on your friends and family, and this is virtuous. Do as you're told, obey outside authority, right? They've got a thing now in Australia where they have a lottery, right? If every person you snitch on, you got a chance to win $2,500, right? So it's pitting the V'd against the non-V'd, basically. And I was just saying to a friend the other day, it's like they're such cheapskates anyway, right? Like the bribery, it just smells of desperation. And this is seen as virtuous, right? To be a snitch. But most people, they have no idea what virtue truly means. I doubt they can even spell it, right? Because they haven't experienced it themselves, what true virtue is. Virtue comes from the soul, right? It does what it knows to be right, despite the consequences. There's no thought of the consequences. It's just doing what it knows to be right. That's virtue, right? So these people in the shadow frequency, they feel that they're being virtuous because the shadow leader told them if they go against their intuition, they're being virtuous, right? It means that you're better than another person. That's not virtue, it's division, right? Anything that separates you from another person is not virtue, you know? And you may say, well, what about boundaries? Boundaries are completely different, right? You can know and experience we're all one and still set a boundary, right? Especially if somebody is coming at you and imposing their shadow, their will on you. So the other side is true virtue is divisive. The upside down world. True virtue is divisive. Shadow leaders say that to listen to your own intuition is dividing you, right? That you're harming others if you go with the divine. If you listen to your intuition, you're harming other people, right? You're selfish if you're virtuous, if you're truly virtuous. Do you see this upside down world yet? So remember, when you listen to your intuition, because your intuition is the closest to the divine, that's the guidance, that's the gift of guidance, right? Is your intuition. When you listen to your intuition, you're connected. You're connected to all. You're connected to all of humanity when you're listening to intuition. So you can benefit everyone when you listen to your intuition and you act on your intuition because you're sending love. Intuition is the frequency of love into the unified field. And when you listen to your heart, you're in a state of oneness automatically. When you listen to your head, you're in a state of separation. There's a reason why our noggin is like a walnut, the two halves, right? It's automatically separation, our brain. This is the shadow consciousness. This is fear. So it really takes courage to stand for the truth because sometimes, often at the beginning, you're standing alone, right? It's really easy to go with the crowd. I'm being virtuous. I'm following the crowd. Soon as you're going with the crowd, that's the sign that you're going the wrong way, right? And it's easy not to think for yourself. This is the spiritual laziness that people are in. You make the decisions for me. You think for me, right? I'll just go along like a robot. No, you have to bring your courage. You have to bring your virtue. And this is all coming from the divine, right? It's coming from your soul. So the biggest form of manipulation is manipulating through the emotions. So remember that we're evolving through the emotional body. And the emotional body is going through a deep, deep purification. So right now, we're being confronted by our childhood trauma. That's all I see out in the world right now is the effect of our childhood trauma as a collective, right? So what does a child do when faced with a scary, unknown situation? They immediately obey the leader. We've been conditioned from day one to obey an outside authority, right? Our world is filled to the brim with traumatized children in adult bodies. And this means that we can easily be manipulated and controlled. And this is the greatest manipulation and deception that's happening right now is through the emotional body. So the source of what we see out there is the emotional body. The root, if you go to the very, very root of what we see out in the world, it's in the emotional body. It's all coming from that place. It's coming from our past, right? And our past is an experience that we've already had. So it's not real, it's a ghost. It's like we're living on a planet filled with ghosts, right? So the world, you have to remember, is a reflection. It's an emotional mirror. It's just reflecting our emotional traumas back to us. So this is where we all need to go. And what does this bring? It brings the higher states of the emotions, right? Not the fear, anger, grief, but the bliss and the joy and the love and the happiness. It's where we're supposed to feel that all the time. You know that feeling of being in love? That's how we're supposed to feel all the time. This in turn brings mental clarity, right? So this means we start making the correct decisions, not only for ourselves, but everyone around us. Okay, so there's lots more to talk about on that. But what can you do as an individual is to call upon your virtue, to do what you know to be right. Make that commitment to yourself. Stand for truth. Just in your life, you don't need to go run out with the placard and start a revolution. Just in your own day-to-day interactions, to stand for truth, right? To do what you know to be right. And listen to your own guidance. Be your own leader. Be your own leader and take responsibility, especially for your health, right? We're in a big lesson around our health and the divine, right? So taking responsibility for your health and taking responsibility for your life, and stop giving your power away to another person, and be discerning, right, with what you hear from other people. Other people are just giving you their opinion, right? They're reporting in what their opinion is. And does this opinion align with the frequency of truth? Or is it manipulative and leading me into more darkness? Right? And you know inside, you know this, right? If you're brave enough to listen, you know, the divine has given us this natural GPS, our intuition, to know what's right and to know what's wrong. We don't need to be told that. Right? Does this information unite people or is it dividing people? Is it empowering people or is it disempowering people? So the best way to use your time and energy right now is to actively participate in the purification of your own emotional body. Right? This is directly connected to your ancestors as well, right? The wounding that we've inherited through our ancestral line. But in a nutshell, the emotional body is the inner child. They're interchangeable, right? So, of course, I have my 6-week inner child program. It's very affordable. You can start that right now, today, and sign up. And also, I've got my Chiron in the Mother Wound webinar series, which I'm really excited about. It's starting this Sunday, right? You'll notice it's starting on the Lion's Portal Day. And the mother rules our relationship to the material world. So this is a great place to dip your toe in, right? If you want to really start this emotional body purification work. And again, it starts August 8th. There's two classes. It's going to be 6-hour plus webinar series. We're going to be meditating. You'll have homework to do. There's going to be lots of information and give you context. And so that you can be really moving forward and thriving during these times, not just surviving. Okay, so please leave your comments below with your thoughts and your insights. And I love reading them, and other people do too. And subscribe, like, and share so that these messages don't get shadow banned by YouTube. And you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Telegram, Bitchute, and MeWe. And better yet, sign up for our free newsletter. It's all free. And I put it out once a week. And you can check out my recorded readings. The recorded readings come with the free webinar, the 2021 webinar. Will give you more information about what's going on in terms of our evolution. Okay. And the readings are about what you need to be your authentic self according to your human design chart. Okay. So have a great day or evening wherever you are. Enjoy your life. Put all your trust and faith, everything into Big G, right? It's like we're picking Big G or little g right now, right? And I'm telling you, pick Big G, right? Because Big G loves you, supports you to be your authentic self. Okay, so I'll see you next video, or hopefully I'll see you on Sunday. And all the webinar will be recorded too if you can't make it due to your time zone. Okay, Satnam Aloha.